When I landed in Da Nang, Vietnam 3 months ago, I felt totally lost. I had stopped uploading videos, I was missing workouts, and money was just bleeding out faster than it could come in. But I let myself get away with acting like a slowpoke because I was soaking up new experiences and finding my way. Which is fine to an extent, like if it's your first week in a new place. Without at least some systems and daily rituals, you wind up trading this location freedom for your income, health, and fun. Luckily, I'm a mindset coach, so I was able to get myself out of the rut. Stick around to watch me break down all of the daily habits, mindset shifts, and nervous system power-ups that allow me to get in more deep work now than ever and unlock play by late afternoon. First up, we have one of my favorite self-experiments that I have done to date. Can you turn a lifelong night owl into a 5 a.m. clubber? I'm gonna show you the exact protocol that I used to shift my circadian rhythm. And while this does require you to go to bed earlier, which is one of my biggest personal struggles, I've found that the morning routine that you start with is a really important piece. So I start every morning by drinking some water and then going right into 3 minutes of breath of fire, which is rapid diaphragmatic breathing. This activates your sympathetic nervous system, so right away your brain goes from groggy to alert. And EEG studies show a rise in beta waves afterwards, which is the exact mental state that you want for deep work, alert and focused. Then we have something I never thought I would see myself doing, which is a form of cold plunge. I just do my face and hands. I've never done a full body plunge before, and I may never in my life. I just don't think that that's for me. But I like the face and hands. Plunging your face into cold water hits the trigeminal nerve and activates what's called the mammalian dive reflex, slowing your heart rate and releasing a quick surge of noradrenaline and dopamine. This combo lowers your baseline stress levels, yet keeps the prefrontal cortex online, which means that you're getting calm focus instead of jitters. And as an added bonus, repeating this habit also trains your nervous system to recover faster from future stress spikes. This next one you might find a little bit weird. I walk around talking to inanimate objects.
Hello, boys.
It's a shamanic practice called greeting the world. I start with the things that I can see and touch around me, from my laptop and my microphone to my clothes, my instruments, things like that. Then I move on to what I can see just in my neighborhood, the river, the bridge, the buildings, the trees, the people, the animals outside. And then I move on to things that I can imagine but can't quite see. So all of the rock formations in the world, all of the water, all of the plants, all of the animals, all of the people, all of the energy. And going through this process, just spending a few minutes audibly greeting everything around me while I'm having my coffee, primes my brain for gratitude and social connection. This provides a nice boost in serotonin and another shift toward parasympathetic tone, which steadies me before the whole workday starts. The caffeine that I have spikes dopamine and noradrenaline release, and then I pop in L-tyrosine, which supplies the amino acid precursor that those neurotransmitters are made from, so that my alertness stays high instead of crashing out mid-morning or midday. With my neurochemistry primed, it's time to warm up my brain with my favorite thing in the world, learning. This isn't something that directly contributes to my income, but I start with this because it's something that I'm actually really excited to sit down and do. I use Anki flashcards because spaced repetition helps to keep things active in your long-term memory with minimal daily time investment. And I'm currently studying Spanish, Indonesian, neuroscience, and sound healing. I'll spend about 30 to 60 minutes reviewing flashcards and maybe make some new ones, and then I dive right into some deep research. And I put this here because I want to use my brain when it's fresh so that I can really focus and think deeply and make new connections. I'll spend about 30 to 60 minutes in the research block, and then I take a quick break and move into my first work block. So at this point, I've gotten 1 to 2 hours of work done, and I just do a quick 15 or so minute reset before I slide into the real meat. I used to stack meditation into a giant morning routine with breathwork and journaling and movement, like the works. But the problem was by the time that I finished, it was practically afternoon. And this is the exact mindset over mechanics trap that I describe in my Growth Mindset Traps video, where you have great intentions, but really low output because you're using the morning routine or the mindset work to avoid doing any kind of real work. So moving the morning meditation until after I've done some deep work, even if it's just research and some note-taking, solves two problems for me. One, deep work starts while dopamine is still high, and two, having a mid-morning parasympathetic dip lowers my cortisol and resets my attention networks before I start the next block. Sometimes I'll do a guided meditation on the Waking Up app, sometimes I will just focus on my breath or do some other kind of meditation, but whatever the case, I let my heart rate drop, let the default mode chatter settle, and this helps me to keep my energetic fatigue from piling up. When the meditation is done, and maybe I've had a second coffee if I feel like it, my brain feels clear, not tired or spacey, and I can go into block 2 with my full attention. What I do in all of the blocks that follow depends on what day it is. So all of my days are based on a set of rotating themes, and I really like to batch similar cognitive tasks together to avoid too much context switching and decision fatigue, which crushes me. Monday is writing, Tuesday is filming, Wednesday is editing, Thursday is funnels and emails, Friday is collaborations and publishing, Saturday is big picture planning, and Sunday is learning. This schedule forces me to touch each stage every week without having to guess at what I'm doing next. My goal ultimately is to finish 2 videos a week, but I'm in a stage right now where I will happily opt for quality over quantity, and everything is just taking me so long because I have so much to learn, so every week I'm finding new efficiencies. Plus, when I'm finished with a script, I like to put it aside and just let it sit for at least a week before I come back to it. So Mondays, for example, instead of just writing 2 scripts from scratch, I'm also pulling things out and editing them. The Wi-Fi here. When the signal goes out, the first thing I do is try the Ethernet cable that I bought. If that doesn't work, I'll use my mobile hotspot. If that doesn't work, I will just go to a cafe nearby because there's no excuse to stop in the middle of the workday. My experience here with the internet has been okay. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. When block 2 is done, it's time to get some protein and have a short journaling session before I start block 3. After block 3, I take a little bit longer break. I will usually have some more food, some Greek yogurt, some fruit, and then I give myself about 20 minutes or so to just let my mind wander. No input. Neurologically, this switches on the brain's default mode network. That idle time is exactly what we need to maintain energy and focus. So doing nothing is a really crucial part of the workflow. And especially for anyone doing any kind of creative work, going into this diffuse mode is so essential for maintaining your creativity. Ideally, during the workday, my phone is out of sight, out of mind. I actually have pretty low trait self-control, so I really rely on engineering my environment and my day instead of trying to willpower my way into the behaviors that I want. If I'm not already outside on the balcony, a good wall or ceiling stare usually does it, and I'm not even kidding here. Just a few minutes of zero stimulation can reset your sensory load better than any social media feed can. With a meal down, my ideas percolating, and the urge to scroll gone, my energy feels topped off for block 4. Next up is one last 2-hour push before the gym. The work block after my fruit and yogurt break also gives this food time to settle because training on a full stomach always makes me feel bloated and occasionally like I'm gonna shit my pants. In this next block, I don't always continue doing something that's creativity heavy unless I really feel like I have the capacity for it. A lot of people get to this point in the day and they start feeling tired mentally, physically, and they maybe start scrolling or they struggle to re-engage. And so my safeguard is if my brain is feeling fried, I allow myself to just do some light admin work or something that feels easier. And if I'm really toast, I will have another wall stare before I try to get back into anything. I also, by this point in the day, have switched from coffee to water, electrolytes, or EAAs because I want to be able to get through this afternoon slump without taking any drugs that are going to keep me from falling asleep at night. With my workday done and my macronutrients processed, my gym is only a 10-minute walk away. I could take my scooter and get there in 2, but I really like to get some steps in at this point. Time to lift. I'm here 4 or 5 days a week doing this. I have a confession though. I spent my childhood into my early 20s as what I call chronically indoorsy. Moving your body, going outside was for other people. So training regularly does not come naturally to me. It is very much a product of choice and spending years building the habit through conscious effort. Not just what I'm getting out of it, like muscles or better health, but what feels good mentally and physically while I'm doing it. Also, research shows that resistance training in the early afternoon can spike BDNF and dopamine, extending your focus for several hours, which means that I will have brain left over to do some hobbies when I get home. First, it is time to shower though before I coast into my last block. And I do think that my work is fun. I really enjoy what I do, but now I get to have even more fun. And I could use this block to go to the beach or walk along the river or go get some food or meet up with a friend. But mostly I just stay in because I have a billion hobbies that I want to practice, from languages to instruments to flow art to fine art and on and on and on and on. My biggest problem during this block is that having too many choices can freeze you. Left unsupervised, which for better or worse is always, I might spend 20 minutes just ranking the possibilities and thinking about what I want to do the most, and then end up doom scrolling instead, which is the classic paradox of choice, right? The more options that you have, the less likely you are to pick any one of them. My fix is satisficing, making a good enough choice quickly. Psych researcher Herb Simon coined this. It means picking the first option that meets your goals instead of spending all this time hunting for the best. And I want to be clear that I don't do this with every kind of decision that I have to make in my life, because sometimes it really is worth hunting for the best. In the future, I will probably find a better way to pick what hobbies I want to work on in the evenings, but for now, rolling a die is what helps to cut my cognitive load so that my energy can go into doing instead of choosing. Satisficing in situations like this helps to keep your momentum up and to keep my inner slowpoke from experiencing decision fatigue, which is what causes me to freeze. There's one more piece that I almost completely forgot to mention, which is I've been using a meal prep service here. Obviously, it's not for all of my meals because I'm still supplementing with whey protein, yogurt, fruit, and things like that, but I find this to be so convenient and so easy for my meals that are later in the day because I don't have to grocery shop, I don't have to cook, I don't have to think about it. All of the meals are around the same number of protein and calories, and so I just pull something out of the fridge and then heat it up. And I get these delivered every 10 days or so. So that's what I have been doing for those meals. That's why you don't see me cooking or anything like that, because I don't. And this just really helps me to stay locked in with my nutrition, and everything else helps my day run really smoothly. So I love doing this. Now it is time for the worst part of my day. The hardest part of my entire day is getting myself to go to bed, because I love to try to squeeze more out of the day and I hate getting ready for bed. The problem here is obvious because now I also really like getting up early, so the part of me that wants that consistency has to overrule my inner bat. So my rule is get into bed at 9 and lights out by 10. I know here that I should really cut out screen time before bed, but because it's not practical for me to travel with a bunch of paper books, I end up reading on my iPad, so I try to balance this out by wearing blue blockers at night. And I do try to keep all the lights at a minimum after sunset because I want my parasympathetic nervous system to take over before bed. And sticking to this whole schedule during the week allows me to go out and explore guilt-free on the weekends, because discipline means consistency and consistency means freedom. So 3 months ago, I was sleeping late and skipping lifts and watching my bank account bleed out. And today, I am not where I want to be, but I know that I have the systems in place that are going to get me there. The 8 things that help me the most are practicing being as efficient as possible, working on one thing at a time, work, rest, or play. And within that work category, I'm constantly looking for ways that I can better leverage my time. Satisficing, picking the city that's good enough, the gym that's good enough, the meal prep service that's good enough, the hobby that's good enough. Patience, reminding myself that I don't need to see and do everything at once. And that's the main reason that I really try to stay at least 2 months in each place. Having a clear sense of what you want to achieve. And I know that this one can often be easier said than done. I had a really hard time focusing when I first got here because I didn't know what to do for work and my brain was all over the place, and that really fueled my procrastination and avoidance. Consciously cultivating the feeling of gratitude every day. Savoring. If there is something that I like or that I want to like more, like exercising, I will pay attention to what feels good and how good it feels. Play is huge. Huge. This is one of my biggest values in this current phase of life. I want to inject as much fun into my life as possible, whether that is saying hello to the trees when I wake up, making a silly video, going and getting the zoomies at the beach, dancing between sets of the gym,
or using my all-time favorite voice effect.
Rest, I don't always want to do, but I know that I need to do, even if that just means staring at the wall sometimes. And if this is something that you struggle with, check out my full video on rest, how to take breaks that increase your productivity, so that you can learn how to match the type of rest that you take to the type of rest that you need, avoid that procrastination burnout spiral, and get back into deep work as quickly as possible. If you like videos like this, subscribe for more, and until next time, have fun, make money, and stay weird.